Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, State Senate Majority Leader John Kavanagh joins us to talk about ICE actions in Arizona and the state's response to those actions. Also tonight, we'll hear about a new documentary on two brothers who helped inspire the Arizona Trail by walking across the state. And best-selling and award-winning novelist Kara Ruda talks about her new book, We Were Never Friends. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Republicans in the state Senate passed a resolution last week that formally calls for Attorney General Kris Mayes to resign due to remarks regarding the state's Stand Your Ground laws that critics say put ICE officers in danger. Joining us now is Senate Majority Leader John Kavanagh. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
This resolution, obviously it's not a law, it's not a bill, it's a resolution here calling for the Attorney General to resign. Give me the reason why here.
Right. Well, first, she retracts the dangerous, misleading information that she stated concerning when people can use force, deadly force, shoot police officers. She was doing an interview on another station, and the issue became when can people use deadly force against cops in these ICE situations. And she basically said, you know, if the officers are only partially or not easily identifiable, which just isn't true. She took the use of force law, which is complicated, lengthy, very nuanced, and she distilled it into a soundbite as part of a political anti-ICE statement. The person who was interviewing her twice gave her an opportunity to rephrase or redo it, and she refused to do it.
She says it's an outright lie that she wants to put law enforcement in danger.
I agree 100%, and we never said she wanted to endanger cops. The problem is she misstated the law. She has some people who may now believe that when officers come at them in plain clothes and aren't properly identified, that they can shoot them. That's the danger she gave to police.
If an officer, and you're not identified as an officer, I don't know you're an officer, and you're coming at me, and I feel my life is threatened, and I'm armed, what does the law say?
You cannot shoot somebody just because they're coming at you. And most of the time, these ICE officers are easily identified. But I was a detective sergeant before I retired. We did not wear uniforms when we locked people up. We simply had our badge out. Right? Under the Mayes interpretation, because we are not clearly identified, people could shoot us.
But
that's not true.
But isn't that part of the Stand Your Ground law? What I'm trying to get clear is, okay, you got some guy that you're not sure who this is. He's either coming into your home without a warrant, or, excuse me, or he's breaking down your car window, or he's doing something aggressive to the point where you fear for your life and you are armed. What do? Just stand there and take it?
Well, first of all, somebody coming at you is not justification to shoot them. Right, even if they look mean.
Well, but we've gone past coming at you.
You have to be threatened. They have to be pointing a gun at you. But these officers, be they plainclothes cops, SWAT team members, or ICE officers, they're easily identified. And all the police groups and the sheriff's associations, they all agree. She misstated the law. She misled people. And what's important is, the term ignorance of a law is no excuse applies when you have been giving bad information by a public official charged with interpreting the law. That's what she did. These people can use this in a court if they're on trial for murdering cops.
She says she doesn't want masked agents entering, that Arizonans don't want masked agents entering their homes without warrants. If a masked agent entered your home without a warrant, you don't know it's an agent. There's no warrant. They've entered your home without your agreement here. What are you going to do?
Well, SWAT teams, local police SWAT teams, have been entering homes wearing masks for decades.
But they're identified.
So are the ICE agents. They're wearing uniforms. They're wearing fatigues. They have radios. They have police.
Okay, so you're saying she's wrong because she says that everyone should be able to identify an ICE agent.
She said that they were poorly identified, which is the problem. That's so subjective. She led people to believe, and she was talking about ICE agents, so she led people to believe that you can shoot them. And even the local cops who wear face coverings sometimes have been put at risk.
I think she was also, she was also saying that the law is not clear on whether you could shoot them because it's a stand your ground law in Arizona. It's not the same in Minnesota, not the same in New York. It's different here.
She totally confused the law of justification, which is one section of the law, with the Castle Doctrine, which says if you're in your home and you are already justified by the other section, you don't have to retreat. With Stand Your Ground, which says if the other section of law says you can use deadly force, then outside your home, you also don't have to retreat. She even confused the sections of law, and she is the head attorney for the state.
She said that actions by ICE that she's seen in Minnesota, we've all seen the video, we've all seen what's happened up there. She calls those un-American.
What's un-American are governors of states, mayors of cities, vilifying ICE agents, calling them Gestapos, not arresting demonstrators who obstruct them, blow whistles, create chaos.
What you saw from videos in Minneapolis, is that American or un-American?
It's un-American when people riot and obstruct police officers. That's exactly what they're doing.
Okay, so you're saying the officers' actions up there were not un-American?
The officers were serving judicial warrants, which they've been doing as far back as the Obama administration.
You disagree with her on that one.
She's wrong.
She also said that the rights and safety of everyone, they're threatened in our state, and it will take years, if not decades, to undo the damage that has been done over the past 12 months.
I don't think you're going to see the same problems in Arizona as in these other states, these blue states. First of all, our jails and prisons cooperate with immigration, and they tell ICE when they're releasing illegal aliens who have deportation orders. So they are picked up safely in a detention facility. In these other states, they don't do that. That's why ICE is forced to go in the street where it becomes very dangerous.
I just want to make this clear. You're comfortable with the shootings in Minnesota, the actions by law enforcement agents in Minnesota, those two shootings?
One.
Two.
I thought there was the woman with the car and then the Guy Petrie.
That's two.
Well, the woman wasn't shot in the car. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
She was running
so
down.
you're comfortable with that?
No, I'm not. But here's the problem. If you try to obstruct and block an ICE vehicle, and then you get in your car and you drive at the officer,
that's a capital offense.
You're asking for trouble.
That's a capital offense.
I believe since the car was coming at the officer, that gave the officer a reasonable belief that he was in danger for his life, and that's a justified use of force.
What about a 5-year-old being detained?
It's my understanding, from what I've heard, was that the father was with the 5-year-old. When they came, the father ran away and left the child alone. When the ICE tried to give the child to the mother, she refused. I mean, ICE should not have. What do you want them to do? Leave the kid on the street?
Those details are still sketchy. We don't know about that. What we do know is we saw a 5-year-old being detained by ICE agents here. Just the message itself has to bother you.
I have arrested people when I was a cop when they had kids with them. Right? We take the child into custody until we can turn the child over. So what else do you do with a kid when the father's arrested?
Okay, so you're not uncomfortable with that.
I would be more uncomfortable with them letting the kid wander away.
Do you have any? How much do you understand? When you see protests at the Capitol, you see protests around town. When we had the Zips raids here, which actually were court ordered, there were warrants here, so that very different from the sweeps in Minnesota. But still, when you see so many people protesting, so many people upset about this, can you appreciate it? Can you understand it?
I do appreciate it, but I think to a certain degree, certain politicians that are calling ICE agents Gestapo. I was on a radio show 3 months ago with Secretary of State Adrian Fontes. He called ICE agents armed thugs. When you demonize law enforcement officers like that, you're setting the stage for people to react to them.
The Preddy shooting, were those armed officers acting like thugs?
No. And I'll tell you what happened there. Preddy had 11 days previously, he kicked in an ICE vehicle's rear taillight and spit at them. He was a provocative person. On the current occasion, he wound up getting into a fight with police. He brought a gun to a demonstration where he knew he was going to possibly be in a confrontation with the police. He was in a confrontation. The police saw the gun. Now they're struggling with somebody who they know is armed. Now you have to be concerned that this person might shoot you. And at some point, confusion and chaos created a situation where some cop thought that he was pulling the gun.
Can it be argued that all that explanation would, for some folks, be defined as having to explain too much, and that these officers, the ones that shot him, were on the ground in the back, were acting like thugs?
They weren't acting like thugs, and the person who has to explain too much is AG Chris Mays, because her advice on use of force was wrong, misleading, and dangerous to cops.
Last question. As far as law enforcement is concerned overall, law enforcement regarding ICE, what do you want to see done with the enforcement actions to make sure that these kinds of things, no one wants to call a law enforcement officer a thug? I mean, I don't know about Adrian Fontes, but I doubt seriously if that's what he wakes up in the morning looking forward to do. No one really wants to do that.
Sure.
Support law enforcement. Everyone supports law enforcement. Everyone wants laws enforced. How do you make sure it doesn't happen here, what happened?
Well, number one, our officials don't vilify ICE. Number two, and I think Holman is correct, he's trying to tone everything down. He's telling these ICE officers, when people taunt you and mock you, don't answer them, because that's what fuels the situation. So, stop demonizing them. Don't go and blow whistles in their face. Don't get in the way of them locking people up, because that's all illegal. And that's what leads to the chaos that leads to tragedies like people getting shot.
Senate Majority Leader John Kavanaugh. Senator, always good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Season 13 of Check Please Arizona is right around the corner.
Wait, who are you?
I'm Kristen Keogh, the new host of Trail Mix. Didn't you hear?
Trail Mix, I love that show. But something's off here. That's better.
Watch a full hour of local Arizona PBS programming on February 5th.
Your Arizona connection starts here.
We attended a drowning this morning at St Kilda Foreshore.
The girl was a friend of your granddaughter's, one of the flower maidens.
Was it an accident?
If you were the last person to see or speak with Kitty before she died, the police will keep on questioning you until they get somewhere.
I hope you're not concealing a dangerous weapon under that skirt.
I'm concealing a lot of things. That's what a lady does.
Saturday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
What is it you want?
Would you indulge me?
Quite something, isn't it, sister?
Scandalous, isn't it? Have I got a story for you? I want to know so much more.
You are really good at this.
I'm just getting started.
When you support Arizona PBS, you plant a seed. Seeds that provide educational outreach in our community. Seeds that put our digital resources to work. Seeds that foster the trusted news coverage you expect from PBS. And seeds that continue the amazing PBS programs you love. But our garden can't keep growing without your support. Visit our website to see all the ways you can help our garden grow. Plant a seed with Arizona PBS today.
Trailblazers is a new documentary that tells the story of two brothers who inspired the Arizona Trail by walking the length of the state in 1982. The documentary premieres February 19th at the Scottsdale Center for the Arts and will kick off the Arizona Trail Association Endowment. And to learn more, we welcome Matt Nelson, Executive Director of the Arizona Trail Association, and Robert Steve, Editor of Arizona Highways, a partner in the project. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
You know, this is a documentary, Trailblazers, about the Gillenwater, and that will start with you, the Gillenwater brothers. Who were they, and why did they decide to walk the length of the state?
Long story short, you'd have to see the film to get the full story. But just like, Sir Edmund Hillary and others, like, well, why do you climb Everest? Why do you undertake these things? The answer is very deep and it's very individual. And fortunately, there's a story now that we can watch so many years later that helped capture and answer that question.
And they walked from what? From Utah border down to the...
They went the other direction, started down in Mexico.
And went up.
And the route they took follows a lot of the Arizona Trail as it exists today, but they sort of detoured through Prescott. But as Matt said, it was an adventure for them. But they also kind of wanted to walk back in time a little bit. They wanted to walk in the footsteps of not just the pioneers, but also the natives who explored this land centuries ago.
And it took like, what, a couple of mules and then let's go?
Yeah, 2 guys, a couple of mules, some dogs, and a grand adventure.
How long did it take?
A really long time.
Oh, really?
It took them a couple of months.
Yeah.
The mules were not in the original plan. They started fabricating this plan and realized that water wasn't a reliable source. It is today. Matt and his crew have a trail that is much easier. So they needed to carry their water, so they got these 2 mules.
And so this inspired, in great sense, the Arizona Trail. What is the Arizona Trail?
It's this amazing resource. It's 800 miles long that connects Mexico to Utah through some of Arizona's most incredible landscapes, deserts, mountains, canyons, forests. And for the past 32 years, our organization has been committed to building, protecting, and maintaining this 800-mile trail so that anybody can get out there and enjoy it.
And I was going to say, this is, did I read correctly, one of 11 National Scenic Trails? That's it? Just 11 in the country, huh?
Yeah, people know about the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail. The Arizona Trail is one of only 11, so it's an exclusive opportunity for hikers.
So how was the documentary, we'll stick with you, Robert, how was the documentary produced? I mean, did they take a Super 8 camera with them or what?
A lot of 35 millimeter film, but they were interviewed at one point on the trail, so there was some footage from that. They're great storytellers, an incredible film crew that created this documentary, and so it's a spectacular story. In fact, these guys pitched it to Arizona Highways in 1982, and my predecessors weren't smart enough to take it. So we're happy to have that story in our February issue now.
And Bruce Babbitt, a current interview with Bruce Babbitt, former Interior Secretary, Arizona Governor, he's in here as well, huh?
Indeed. The number of people that have been involved with the Arizona Trail since its inception, like when it was first dreamed up to where it is now, is incredible. Tens of thousands of people have contributed to the trail as it is.
When you're on the trail, do you know you're on the trail? Are there signs? Are there markers?
It's an incredibly well-marked trail. I have the privilege with the magazine to hike all over the state, and the segments on the Arizona Trail are among the best. There's great trailheads, so it's easy access. You can, the trail runs for 800 miles, but you don't have to do 800. You can do different segments, and you can do segments of segments. So it is very well marked, and it's a great way to see our state. The other wonderful thing about it, as you know, the topography and geography and geology of the state is so different. So you go from the desert up to the high mountains, and you also have to cross the Grand Canyon at some point.
Wow. As far as the Arizona Trail Association endowment, what is that and how does this kick this off?
So we're a nonprofit organization, and we rely on a variety of funding sources, state, federal, and private for the most part. State funding has been hit or miss over the years. Same story with federal funding. We've seen it kind of come and go. So the reality is, in order for us to be able to maintain and protect this trail into the future, what we really need is an endowment. So we have a reliable funding source over time that a small percentage of that investment benefits trail operations.
Any of the other scenic trails around the country have this kind of thing?
They do, yeah. And we oftentimes learn from things like the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail, which are much older, almost 100 years now, whereas the Arizona Trail is only about 35 years old.
Wow. All right. As far as now, when the premiere happens, there's going to be a panel following with some sort of discussion?
Yeah, I think Matt and I will be there, and both of the brothers will be there, not just talking about their experience, which of course they will get a lot of questions about that, but talking about the value of this trail and why it's such a great asset to the state of Arizona and all the people who live here.
Last question here. What do you want people who watch this documentary to take from the film?
Inspiration to get out and enjoy nature. We have some of the most incredible landscapes on Earth right here within a single state, and that's really what inspired the Arizona Trail, because you can see things like the Grand Canyon and Saguaro National Park that don't exist anywhere else, and this trail is what connects them all together.
Yeah, what do you want folks to take from the film?
Same thing. Our mission is to get people off the couch, and it's actually a more formal mission statement, but when you scrape it all away, that's what we want and try to do in the magazine.
Robert Steve, again, Arizona Highways editor, and Matt Nelson with the Arizona Trail Association. The film is Trailblazers. Congratulations. And the Gillen Waters, the brothers, where are they right now?
Well, they're in the Agua Prieta, which is one of the most remote places in the state. They sort of do this go into the backcountry and live off the land kind of thing. So they're still doing it all these years.
I was going to say, walking the state wasn't enough. They got it in 1982. They're still doing it. Gentlemen, good to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
A new novel explores what happens when old sorority sisters reunite for a suspenseful weekend in Palm Springs. The book is titled We Were Never Friends, and it's been described as being full of dark humor and bad behavior. The book's author, Kara Ruda, joins us now. Welcome to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Although this is old hat for you, how many books have you written?
You know, it's gotten to be a lot at this point. This is number 24.
24?
I know, that's ridiculous.
And your books are described as domestic suspense. That makes sense to you?
It does a little bit. I mean, I think it's because they're mostly talking about people who live in the suburbs, so it kind of, and it has to do with family members and friends, close relationships. So I think that's where the domestic is, but definitely suspense.
I was going to say, are they thrillers? Are they whodunits?
They're thrillers.
More
Mostly.
thrillers than whodunits?
Correct. Yeah, there's not really anything for you to solve. You just kind of read and hopefully go, oh my gosh. No.
But the key seems like it's people who live what seem to be perfect lives, and then conflict occurs.
Right. And as we all know, like people closest to us can sometimes surprise us. A lot of my books are marriage thrillers, and I've been married 35 years, so that explains that.
Wow.
But no, not really. He's not the inspiration. But in this case, these are a group of we're close friends, and now not so much.
But when it's people who seem to live perfect lives, that sort of thing, and then the conflict arrives, that stark contrast, does that make it a little easier to write, or what do you think?
I mean, I think it's fun. Like the settings are fun when you're talking about people who have a lot of everything. So like these women, they're all visiting a second home in Palm Springs, so it's a very elegant mansion.
Yes.
And that makes it kind of fun as an author to stomp around in those kind of settings.
I'll bet.
Yeah, when people are very concerned about perfection, because we all know perfection is an illusion. So when people are too concerned about that, that's where all the kind of conflict
That's when the
comes in.
imperfection makes for a lot of fun, doesn't
Exactly.
it? What got you started? Right? Did you always want to be a writer?
Yeah, always. Since third grade, I wrote to we were supposed to write to the person we wanted to be when we grew up. And so I wrote to Robert McCloskey, who is the author of my favorite book, Make Way for Ducklings.
Oh, boy.
And he actually wrote back and said he was an illustrator, not an author, and pick better next time.
Well,
but still, he wrote back.
Well, he wrote back, yeah. He gave you kind of the business, but he wrote back.
Exactly. So that's good.
So a lot of people want to be things when they're young.
Yeah.
But eventually they kind of go, well, maybe I'm better at something. When did you realize you were pretty good at this?
Well, I had a lot of careers up until now. So I was a journalist and a magazine editor, and then marketing for a lot of years. And so it was always kind of in the back of my head. But my first book was actually a business book for women entrepreneurs.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so I was speaking around the country and telling women it's never too late to live the life of your dreams. And someone in the audience in Austin said, so have you done it? Have you done everything you've wanted to do? And I'm like, I want to write a novel.
Very good.
Yeah, it kind of inspired me.
I read somewhere that you were in marketing and advertising. So you wanted to be Darren Stevens.
I did. Which is so strange. Most people watching Bewitched want to be Samantha, the one with the magical powers. Yes, I know. That's very odd.
I want to be, which Darren? The first one or the second one?
I guess anybody in advertising,
Darren.
Yeah.
When you write the book, do you know what's going to happen beforehand?
No, which is so fun. No. So I usually have a character or two. In this case, I had Beth, who's kind of our protagonist, and Roxy, who's kind of her nemesis. I knew those two were there. And then Beth and her daughter are driving to this reunion because her daughter is marrying Roxy's son, much to Beth's chagrin. And then people just started appearing as I'm writing.
Do they surprise you?
Yeah, all the time, especially when they're doing really devious things.
Yes.
They will, sometimes they scare me, actually. I'll be up in my office and a character will do something and I have to slam the laptop and run downstairs.
I was going to ask if your writing keeps you on the edge of your seat.
It does. And I know that if it scares me, it hopefully will scare you too. So,
yeah.
But it's not that I know that they're going to do that, but they sometimes do really scary things.
Is it easier? 24 books. I mean, you got to have a pattern or something down. It's got to be a little bit easier.
I don't know if it's easier. Maybe there's a little more confidence sitting down that you can do it again, but it's always still the same. Like every book's like a child. It's a new adventure. And
your first book was nonfiction.
Yes.
Isn't that something? Are you writing one right now? Are you writing another book?
I am. I'm co-authoring with two other authors. We have a program called the Killer Author Club, and it's every other Tuesday. And it streams on YouTube and Facebook and all of that. And so we decided to collaborate, so we're writing a book together right now.
Does Hollywood show interest in the 24 books and the books you're writing now?
Yeah,
I mean,
I hope so. I do have one film option, which is for my novel Beneath the Surface, and that's for a feature film. So
that's exciting then, huh?
Yeah,
It's a whole different. You can be prepared to see other people doing things with your story.
Oh yeah. They can have it, whatever they'd like to do. That's their area.
Did I read you're getting or you received a master's from UC Riverside?
Oh, I'm working on it right now.
You're working on a master's? Don't you think I think you've accomplished it. What master's in what?
In fine arts. I was just, it was on my bucket list. I found this note that I had written to myself maybe, I don't know, a long time ago, and number 5 on the list was get your master's. I'm like, you know what, you still haven't done that. So it's so fun. It's really fun to go back to school at this age.
Wow, well, you're a very active life. Congratulations on all that. Congratulations on the success of the books and the new book. And thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
When you want to be more inspired, Arizona PBS delivers unforgettable experiences in music, theater, and the arts, thanks to members like you. And
you play flutes and